Hi, everybody, and welcome to Meet the Pennames Memory Lane May. I am your host, MrBenzedrine, aka Amy, and I'm joined here today by two lovely ladies from the Dramione fanfiction realm, Kyonomiko and LightofEvolution. Now, how this gimmick works is each week this month we'll be showcasing Meet the Pennames that we featured in the past few years, and we're sitting down with them to ask them some unanswered questions you, the readers, want to know. We took a poll in Granger Enchanted Survivors a few weeks ago, and I compiled the 20 questions into a Google Doc for the authors. They picked 10 questions to answer today. This audio podcast is something new I'm trying out, and I'm very lucky that LightofEvolution and Kyonomiko agreed to do it. This will make the third time we have tried to record this podcast because comedy and tragedy come in sets of threes, or maybe it's just my computer screwing up. Either way, I hope you sit back, relax, enjoy the show, and get to know Jilly, aka
Ladies, welcome.
Hi.
Thank you. So, ladies, I'm going to let you go ahead and take it away. Whoever wants to start the questions, go right ahead.
All right, then. So the first question that you selected that I will ask you is, what are you reading right now?
Yeah, okay. So I'm waiting for a novel to come out in November, I think. I hope November, probably beginning of next year. It's from Ben Aronovich. It's a series, The Rivers of London, I think it's named in English. And it's a bit like Harry Potter because this police constable, he's a bit of a newbie and he starts his job and accidentally runs into a ghost. And first he thinks he's a bit crazy, but then this mysterious older man comes up and he's really a wizard. So, and they have this kind of special department within the London police. So it's very, very funny, very sarcastic, and I'm really looking forward to read the next book. As for fan fiction, I've a lot of stories going on. I really don't know how many I'm following, and I'm really bad at reviewing sometimes. So, for example, I'm following this too is Sacred by Hartwell and I'm really, really intrigued by the plot. It's a Hermione story. And I'm following The Word Changer, which is a harmony story by Ariel Riddle. Yes, I'm a bit of a harmony fan, not only a bit, but quite a bit. And yes, it's a really good story. It's a bit darker than your usual fluffy 10th scene harmony piece. It's really, really good. Without giving too much of the plot away, it's really about Harry changing the world again. Or not. I don't know yet. It's only an update. Let's see how it turns out. But it's really, really good. As for Hermione, there's also Emerald by La Belladonna X, for example. I'm following. Yeah. Okay.
Very good.
Jilly, are you
Yes,
here
ma'am.
with me?
I'm here.
What are you writing right now?
I am writing a new multi-chapter. I'm about 11 chapters into it at the moment, which means I'm about, by my terms, probably about halfway through. I think my multi-chapters usually end up in the 20s-ish often, or around 20. So I am writing a story about Draco's portrait. It takes place roughly a year or two after the final battle. And the portrait has found itself to Hermione's bedroom. She has the portrait. And so it will be a development of conversation and relationship between them in that very kind of separated way. So it would be a little bit interesting, I think.
I'm super excited about that.
Oh, yeah, me too.
I'm really intrigued by the portrait aspect of it. A part of me is like, could she do smut? I don't know if she could do smut. Would it be solo? How would that work? I have a perverted brain. I'm sorry.
shall see.
No, I'm laughing because you haven't. Yeah, the funny thing is, I'm beating this story, and Jilly and I had this conversation before when I said, and she's, I'm writing this and this, and I was, let me think, is smut even possible in this story? And I said exactly the same thing.
I'm so glad I'm not the only one that was like, but could you put in smut? Because this is the important question to it. But how X-rated could we go?
It's adult.
Yay! Now I'm really intrigued because I've never read something like that. But it sounds interesting. And all I have to say is she better not smear his oils on his oil painting or whatever it is, but I'm pretty sure he wouldn't like that.
No. And the dust, oh my God, what happens when it's dusty? And yes, I'm very excited to read the story too. So I'm really, really looking forward to it.
I think I sent you chapter 5 yesterday? 4 and 5?
Yes, 4 and 5, and I haven't got around doing that because I was doing taxes today. Yes, good. And yeah, I'm looking forward to do it after our interview. Yes.
I like how positive you are. I look forward to doing. Are you talking about your taxes, or are you talking about reading her thing?
Reading the thing.
Oh, okay. I thought she was talking about taxes, and I was like, you look forward to reading your or doing your taxes. That's so sweet.
No, not really.
All right.
All right,
It's too early in the morning for me to think.
I am going to shoot that question back at you and ask what you are working on at the moment.
Yes, I'm working on the sequel of Shared Hell, which is I think it had 6 chapters when I wrote the story, and I'm very excited because I couldn't really let the story go, or the plot line go. So I decided to write a sequel for the first time. I haven't done that before, and the story is all planned out. I know where to start and what's going to happen, and working out the details. And I'm in the process of writing the 3rd chapter, which I want to have finished before I start posting. So I really, really hope I have it done sometime this week, the 3rd chapter, and can start publishing somewhere this week.
Wonderful.
I'm doing a little happy dance in my chair right now because I'm like, yeah, get that written, get that updated. I'm so excited.
Did you read the 2nd chapter?
I haven't gotten to read it yet. I planned on doing it yesterday after we got done with our podcast. But then the podcast fell apart and I got depressed and I just shut off my computer and I was like, I don't want to touch my computer right now because I'm so mad. But so hopefully if everything goes well today, I will actually get to sit down and read it because I won't want to throw my computer across the room.
Knock on something wood right now.
Can you guys hear that?
Yes.
Yeah. There you go.
Is that your very clean desk that you're rapping on?
That is my very clean desk. Oh, thank you for noticing. It's very clean. It will stay clean for probably about 2 more weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and now that we know what we are working on, I have a question, a bit of a dumb question, maybe. To have a bit of context. So, Jilly, aka Kyonomiko, wrote Muggles and Mortgages. And without giving anything important away, it's about, there's a bit of role play background on it. And our Jelly is quite an expert in that. And so I have a question, and it is explain Elder Scrolls to me for me as a really, really, really dumb computer player. Really, I really am. The most complicated thing I can manage as a game on computer is Mahjong, I think. So.
Well, Elder Scrolls is a video game, which is different than the tabletop RPG that they played in Muggles and Mortgages, but still just as nerdy. And it's a fantasy RPG. You build a character, and then you give it armor and weapons and stats you can choose to put into different aspects of your character, like, strength or magic or whatever. And then you're just in a fantasy world, and you can do quests or just, go kill random things, or there's side things you can do, like crafting. I'm very into crafting. Can make my own armor. And so that's what it is. It's a fantasy RPG video game that takes up way too much of my time that I could be writing.
Well, I like high fantasy things. Dragon Age.
I love Dragon Age.
Okay, I'm a really big
Dragon
fan.
Age is, not only did I play the video games, but that is the tabletop RPG that my husband and I have had a campaign with a couple of friends for.
Oh, that's so cool. That's
awesome. I like that world.
It's a great world. It's an absolutely great world. I am so dorky when I play it, because I think, okay, I'm going to play a chaotic neutral character. That's what I want to play. And then I go and I've done this several times, and I've created a character, and then it gets to your options. And then I'm like, but I want to answer the nice option because I don't want to piss them off.
I know. I'm always the good guy.
It's so hard to be the person who's like, I don't care about your problem. Figure it out yourself. I'm like, oh no, I want to help. What can I help with? And then I'm like, oh, I ruined it. I ruined it all over again.
I always just end up playing me as a character. What would I do? Well, I would help, obviously.
That's 100% it.
Yeah, okay. Next question.
That's my answer. All right. So I guess let's go back to me. And I like this one. What advice would you have given a younger you if you'd had the experience that you do now?
Take the blue pill. No,
always sound advice.
No, just kidding. I think being a bit of a weirdo, an outsider at school, through my entire schooling, I think, it's don't try to be one of the cool girls, because it's not you. You're not. You simply are not one of them, and you just turning yourself into someone you are not by adapting. So it doesn't work, and B, you don't win anything with that. So you don't try to be someone you aren't, and when you're growing up, you try to adapt. You try to be one of them, to belong somewhere. And I think it's something many of us Potter has experienced, to be a bit of an outsider or not to fit in entirely. So we are drawn to this fandom, in my theory. I don't know, it's just a theory. So we don't win. So we're better off when we found ourselves. So don't try to be one of the cool girls.
You're already too cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
You are cool. I've listened to this 3 times now, and every time I just want to be like, girl, do you know how cool you are? You don't know how cool you are. To all of us dorky people, you are so cool. You are just like, you are cool amongst the dorks. And I think that is the best because we're at least the most real. We don't sit there and try to, pretend that we're something we're not. We actually know who we are, and then we recognize other people who know who they are, and then it ends up being a beautiful thing.
And imagine you have to keep up this cool facade or to this cool mask, and you always have to be the, I don't know, this cliche cheerleader girly, and it's hard work, I think. So we can go into, I don't know, Aldi or wherever in our flip-flops and jogging trousers or whatever, and we are still ourselves, and we don't need to wear makeup or high heels or whatever just when we want to. And there's quite a lot of freedom in that, I think.
Really is. It's not this expectation of keeping up with the Joneses. And I think it's really sad when people try to conform to what's being cool right now, because number one, cool always changes. No matter what you think is cool, it's going to change. Back when we were, kids, I remember comic books were not cool. Don't you dare be into comic books. Now it's like everyone's like, man, comic books. And I'm like, wait a minute. I must sound like a hipster here. But we knew it first. The nerds knew it first. Excuse you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, it's comic book man from Simpsons revival. So he's the most popular guy in Springfield.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right. That's exactly it.
So I can say for me, it's Hermione, the character I like to write the most, or I have a certain affliction to write. But Judy, what is your favorite character to write, and which is the least favorite?
So you've heard this twice now. I'm sure you're sick of it, but
and I still
I love writing Draco's family, and I'm just going to give their couple name Lucissa and call that one character, because I do truly enjoy writing Lucius and Narcissa Malfoy. They're just incredibly fun for me. I enjoy their having them sort of banter at other characters. I feel like that sense of superiority that I'm sure they have, which is just such a pleasure to write them being haughty and snotty and a little quippy and but very intelligent. So I think they're just great, and I did not expect that when I started writing in the Harry Potter fandom. I never really thought about them as characters too deeply when I was actually reading the books or watching the movies years ago. But yeah, they surprised me how much fun that they are. And then on the opposite end of the spectrum, the character that I like to write the least is poor Luna Lovegood, who I like. And actually I am reading a story right now, and it just struck me yesterday that as I was reading it, like, hey, this is a pretty good Luna. I like her. But I find her very stressful because of her sort of whimsical, flighty personality. I have trouble identifying with her. And so I have trouble writing her, and I feel like I'm always just making efforts. My Luna to me feels like I'm trying too hard. And then there's that fear that I'll make her just too over the top, too crazy, too just nonsensical, which I don't think that's who she is as a character. No. I don't think she's nonsensical. I think she's actually probably the most poignant character in the entire series. But I have difficulty with her. So she is my least favorite character to write amongst characters that I would actually write. I'm not going to count somebody that I would never touch, like Dolores Umbridge. Thanks.
Right.
So
I'm pretty sure you guys are tired of hearing it from me, but I'm going to go ahead and say it again, as we haven't been able to do anything with this. So the way I always like envision writing Luna Lovegood is you take a really intelligent, observant Ravenclaw, and then you just have them smoke a bunch of weed, just a bunch of weed, and then they're just like, oh yeah, a little absent-minded, but also because she's super observant, but she also gets distracted very easily by little things that you're like, wait, what?
She's a squirrel.
She
Yeah,
is.
exactly. Ooh, shiny.
It's so weird. I like Luna and Harry together, even though that's not like a very popular pairing. I think it's really cute because all through the books, Harry just kind of went with her whimsical little things. He was just like, oh, okay, Luna, sure, that's fine. Like, it's so adorable. He never like gives her shit about it. He questions her sometimes in his head, but he never is like, what the hell are you talking about? He's always just like, yeah, okay, sure, we'll just go with that. You're wearing turnips on your ears today, or radishes or whatever. And he's like, yeah, that's you, Luna. You do you. And I think it's so cute.
That's true. He's not terribly judgmental of her. It's just,
No.
it makes her a
What
sweet
is-
ship.
JD, what is the story you are reading with Luna that surprises you?
I am reading, let me make sure I have the title right, The Princess and the Pariah.
By The Morning Madam?
Yes, which is a
Yes.
sequel to The Art of Divination, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm only like 2 or 3 chapters in. So, but I'm really enjoying it. And she just hit a scene with Luna. I just read it last night, or well, not last night. I was drunk last night, but yesterday afternoon before the subsequent drinking, which is why I'm really not on my game today. I apologize to everybody. But yeah, I really liked her Luna because she was like a little bit kind of interesting and a little bit not even off, just there's always seems like there's something kind of behind the curtain with Luna, and I think that's a hard thing to capture, or at least it is for me, without her sounding like she's just flipping insane. But she did a nice job. It was a short conversation, and I kind of hope that she uses her more in the story. I don't know if she does, but I liked that scene. It was very well done.
I read a story last week. I think it's a bit older. Run of the Monsters by Galfoy. And it's a Dramini. It's quite dark.
That cut out just a second ago. Could you start that line all over again? I'm sorry. It cut out.
Well, I'm reading.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. A bit of a week ago, or some days, I don't know. I read another story with an impressive Luna, and that was from Galfoy. It's from 2014, I think, the story. One of the Monsters is the name, and it's quite darkish, whatever. But it's an impressive story. So, Hermione, by the way, and I was really, really surprised by this story. Sometimes I get a feeling for a story in which direction it is going to develop, but not here. So it really threw me off. So, there was an impressive Luna in it. Yes. Okay.
I like her when she's done well. I really enjoy reading her.
I think I read most of the works of Galfoy, but not that one. So I was a bit surprised and thought, oh, yes. The Boy in the Hammock was one of the first I read, I think, Hermione stories. So, yeah, a very good author.
I have to say, there's this one story. I know I bragged on it in the groups, but it's because it's such an underrated fic. It's by Miss Wren, and I think it's Miss Wren. It's not Mrs. Wren. It's Miss Wren, and it's The Red String of Fate. And there's this newest chapter she posted where it's a Muggle alternate universe, but everybody is exactly basically who they are in the books, pretty much. The only difference is that Draco and Hermione grew up around each other instead of growing up to, despise each other. And so she's walking down the stairs in a Halloween outfit, but she looks very pretty. And there's this part where Draco, who is very much in Draco's character, is just really shocked at how beautiful she is, and his mouth just kind of falls open. And Luna just reaches up very quietly and shuts his mouth for him before anybody else notices. And I laughed so hard. I was like, that's Luna. She noticed before anybody else did, and she was like, here, dear, let me help you with this. So cute.
I haven't read that one, I gotta admit. Neither I have the one Judy mentioned, but I think I'm going to make it out of this interview with some new stories to read.
Yeah, because I really need more stories to read.
Everybody needs more stories.
Is there a point where iPhone won't let you open more windows?
I have wondered that so many times. It just still seems to keep going. There's times where I'm like, when have I cleaned out my windows on my Safari? When is that?
Yeah, is it just infinite tabs? Because
I only have open 3.
Oh,
only 3?
what?
Yes.
Okay, now I've got to see. Oh, girls. Oh, it just keeps going.
Yeah, mine too.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm not gonna lie to you. This is probably upwards of 90 tabs.
Yeah, me too.
I just open up another tab and I forget about the other tab, and I'm like, oh yeah, there's the tab there. I'll go back to that. I don't want to exit out. I might want that tab eventually.
Yeah, I haven't forgotten. There's just so many story recommendations. I just, see something wrecked on like Tumblr and I go, oh, I should open that in a window so that I can remember to read it later. But then, if I'm in the middle of reading something else, I just don't want to do it right then because I'm in the middle of something else. And I don't know, snowballs after that. there's so many. And I got a new phone, what was it, like last fall? And I lost all my tabs because I got a new phone. And I was like, oh no, now what am I going to read? I don't have any recommendations. So in the course of the last, 6 to 8 months, I have reacquired like 90 tabs. I will never
on your
run out of
phone
to read.
only.
Yeah.
On my phone.
On my computer, I keep open like a like 5 tabs. And it's usually,
I don't read on my computer.
No, it's usually Facebook, YouTube, a fan fiction, a Google search, and then I don't know what the other one is. I don't really pay attention that much.
I always have my fan fiction profile up so I can access that easily. But
That's a
other
smart
than that,
idea.
I might have like my mail up, one of them at least.
Oh, that's probably the other one that I'm thinking of that I couldn't remember. I usually check my mail from my phone, more or less, because I'm lazy like that.
Me too. But I use it on here to do, things like attaching documents to send to Volcra to beta them. Because I am not terribly tech savvy and I do all of my my writing just as like a Word document. And then I have to email it to myself and then download it on my phone into Google Docs so that I can share it. Yes, that's the convoluted way that I do things. Thank you.
Nah. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. No,
absolutely.
Here.
Not terribly tech savvy. Okay, so I think it's my turn to ask a question. Yes, should I do that?
Yes.
So what is the one story trope that you could live without?
Yes, I said it already. No, it's gender swapping. I don't know really why it throws me off. It's not I don't like the writing or whatever. I just can't get into the trope often. Some years ago, I think more than 20 years ago, probably, there was this movie with Mel Gibson where he could read the women's thoughts. And a love story, I think, yes. And everyone was, yeah, wonderful film, ha ha, funny. And I was, no, I can't get into it. So I simply can't get into that trope. But other than that, I'm very much for cliches. So yes, head boy, head girl, or marriage law, or forced working together, or whatever. It's all mine. I'm reading all of them.
Give me all the tropes.
Yes, absolutely. That's it. And now it's my turn to ask another question. A funny question or a normal question, Jilly?
I don't. It's up to you. I told you I can't think today. You just somebody needs to tell me what to do, and I'll go do it.
Okay.
All right, I need you to go, and I need you to break into Gringotts. I'm going to the Malfoy vault. You're looking
but it
for
can't
a
require
chalice.
that much energy. I mean, I'm
well, you
to,
said
put on pants
whatever.
later.
You said whatever. Just tell you. So I'm.
But like,
telling you.
what can you do while drinking tea and nursing a headache?
Reading.
That's all I got in me. All right. So whatever you want to ask, Fulcrum. And I will try to answer.
You're a new addition to the crayon box. What color would you be and why?
Oh. What color would I be? I have no idea. I'm terrible at these. If I had to like get a job and the interviewer was clever and asked me things like this, I'd be like, I'll get another job, thanks. I'm a black crayon because I just want to sit in a dark room right now.
You're a beautiful gothic crayon.
That's right. That's
like I am all of color and none of color at the same time.
That's right.
Oh, that's deep.
See, I helped you. Now you're making deep answers. There you go. Yeah. You're so deep. You're so deep, Kyonomiko, giving us the life answers.
I'm really not. I'm all surface level today.
I hope you can hear that. Take that. Yeah, that's what I have to say to you and your surface level. Yeah. Wow, it is really early in the morning. We're like, yeah, fight me. But
I was like, this is gonna be our best time yet. We've had practice. The third one's gonna be awesome. And then I woke up today and my eyes didn't want to open and there was sunshine and I hated it and I was like, oh God, I can't. I don't have enough braining to make words go.
I feel like that's an author every day when they open up their Word doc and they're like, how do words do? Words do things now. But yeah, and it doesn't work. And you're like, well, fine.
Yeah, that's me today. That's me. Hey, Volker, what color are you in the crayon box?
Purple.
You're purple?
It's my favorite color. So my study really has lavender colored wall because purple was too dark for that room. And I have a purple computer. So yes.
Oh, cute.
Don't ask me what kind of computer it is. It's purple. My husband bought it for me. So yes, it's pretty. In
my headcanon, funny enough, purple is Draco's favorite color because I've just decided that.
I know. And
It can't be green, right? I mean, really, are their house colors really their favorite colors? Come on. You know that somebody in Gryffindor doesn't like red, right?
yes, it clashes with Weasley hair, doesn't it?
That's right.
This is red, deep red, and then this hair color of the Weasleys. It must be awful for them to wear this robes and Quidditch robes and awful. Yeah. Okay. Next question.
Oh, okay. Everybody get ready. If you could have dinner with one person, living or dead, who would it be and why?
I'm getting out the tissues. Getting out the tissues and getting out the nipples. Oh, man. Oh.
No, it's not that dramatic, but
it is so sweet.
I'd like to have dinner with my grandmother, who is dead, but I'd like to meet her again because she was such a badass lady, having lived through war, through the Second World War, and worked very hard to keep her family going afterwards. She worked full time despite having two children, smaller children, and a husband who was not really of use for anything, because he had, as we call it now, this post-traumatic stress disorder and wasn't able to work. So my grandmother worked her ass off. So yeah, she's my moral compass. She was my moral compass. Yeah, she was badass, and I'd like to meet her again. She passed away quite spectacularly, or not, depending on how you see it, because she simply collapsed in her flat, in her living room, and was dead. That's it. And she was 93, and we all thought, this whole family thought it was exactly the way she wanted to go. She went with a bang, the way she lived. So
that still gets me every time. She wanted to go with a bang. And
yes, she did. She really, because she was like unimpressed by so many things. And for example, we had this. There was indeed another funeral in the family. Someone died, and she was okay. Can we do this early in the morning? Because I'd like to catch my plane. I have to go to holiday. I booked a flight, so can we do this early in the morning? I want to go, but I want to go to and catch my plane also. So yes, let's do it in the morning so I can have my vacation. Yes, she was really yes, she was very, very funny, and could drink really hard. She drank my husband, then boyfriend, under the table on a hot summer day. When he left her, my boyfriend was totally pissed, really, and she wasn't. So that was a funny thing. I didn't drink. I had to drive, so it was very hot, and we got out of a flat, and he was barely able to get into the car. My grandmother stood on the balcony and saw us off smiling, and was not drunk at all. Really, it was.
That's how you know you have a good German grandmother.
Yeah.
She can drink your boyfriend, now husband, under the table. You're like, yeah, that's what you're joining in our family for.
Yeah, oh, definitely. And she would have to cook the dinner herself, because I really miss her cooking. I can't cook. I really can't cook. And she could all do these dishes, and yeah, she'd have to cook, and we'd have dinner, and I'd have her posing some questions about my life now and some opinions about it, how I handled some things. Yeah, that's what I like to have for dinner. Yeah.
I think that's just so sweet. Like, for real. And as Jilly said in the previous thing, she's like, not only do you want your grandmother to come for dinner, but you also want her to cook the dinner.
That's my favorite part.
It's
She's
just
back
so
from the grave, but she's got to bring.
I bet she's like, but you have to supply the alcohol, honey, and then I will cook you dinner.
That's fair.
I could totally.
That's how I cook. I can bring that.
Is this cooking wine? What? People do that with that? No. You drink this wine. Don't you dare try to cook with this. Cook the alcohol out of it. Shame on you.
She'd be, organic? Oh, what's that? So I don't know. That doesn't look right. It looks funny. No. Let me. Yes. Next question for Kyonomiko. What do you think about your writing style development between your MTP interview and now?
I think that it has improved, if nothing else, because I have you now. So, I've said this, twice now, but I'm sick of it.
And again, I can hear it again.
Let me tell you how awesome you are once more. No, all kidding aside, though, I had never really worked with anyone else before when I started writing, and I did all of my own editing, but I didn't do much of that either because I was posting on the fly. I like updating quickly. So my original way of doing that was to just try to slam through a story. Like I would come home during lunch from the office and like sit and slam out, 1,000 words. I was basically doing writing sprints without knowing what a writing sprint was. And then trying to get that like written during maybe the day and then kind of edit at night and toss it up. So I wasn't giving any chapter the time that I should have, in my opinion, just because I wanted to do the quick updates. Since then, I have learned that the better way for me to do quick updates is to write the whole damn thing until I start posting it. And there's other benefits to that too. Like sometimes you write yourself into a corner if you can't go back and make changes. And now I don't do that. If I, am inspired halfway through the story to make a major change to something, I have the ability to do so. When I was doing Once More with Feeling, which was my last multi-chapter, it was a time trope, and I needed the ability to make changes to early chapters if I changed something later, like in a really intense way, more so than usual, because it affected exactly what was going to be happening based on what had happened before. So I utilize that. But anyway, so point being, I write everything before I post now. I sit on it for many days myself, going through and editing, and not just editing for grammar and mistakes, but also padding words or cutting fluff or, whatever it be. And then I send it to Volcra, who does a wonderful job of catching all the stuff that I didn't. And I think for all of those reasons, I'm just doing a generally better job. I'm taking more time, being more patient, and having someone help me. Because you can't catch all your own mistakes, it seems like.
No.
It's impossible because you just read what you know you wanted to write. And you read it and you say, yep, that's what I wanted to write. And you don't even think about the fact that you just read over a word wrong. So, yeah, that's why I think I'm doing a better job. Thanks. It's all you. It's all you.
No, that's not right. Because it's often you simply see it from a different point of view. Those mistakes, or if there's a comma lacking. So I'm myself not someone who catches all mistakes, probably. I don't know because I don't see them. But it's like really at university when you have to hand in some papers or for your bachelor thesis or whatever, you have to print something and hand it in. And then the first thing after printing the final edition, you open the thing and the first thing you see is a punctuation mistake or a spelling mistake, and it's all just bound book, and you're so annoyed. So yes, you simply can't catch all your own mistakes, really. But
it's also helpful, not just mistakes, but let me say also, it is nice to have someone to sort of bounce things off of as well. I mean, you're really good for confidence. You're such a great cheerleader. I tend to not be terribly confident in what I do. I'm not sure that Once More with Feeling would have seen the light of day without your very enthusiastic approval of it. So it's more than just like you found that comma. It's the whole thing. And I've also been doing a lot of word sprinting now, and kind of going back and forth with in dreams. She's sort of, I'll call her Alpha. You get to be Beta, and I'll call her Alpha because she gets a lot of my initial like, what if Draco was a portrait? She's like, yeah, that's good. Let's do that. And
yes, and she's the queen of word sprints, isn't she?
Yes, she is. Oh my God, I don't know how she does it.
So fast. She's such a fast writer.
Yeah.
And when I see her word counts, and then I think, oh, in 30 minutes? No way. I need, I don't know, 5 hours for that. I am so slow. And yes, I think an alpha or beta really is worth gold. I'd never be able to publish anything really without Amy. And so, yes, and
I'm
Jilly.
not here. I'm just...
Yes, you are. I can hear you. I know where you live.
Yeah, well, I am just
the man
behind the curtain. Nobody can see me. I don't exist.
But you do. Without you, I wouldn't be here, because I wouldn't have put anything online, I think. So yes, a beta or an alpha is really worth gold especially in my position, because I'm not an English native, and it's very difficult to me to find some words, and some idioms are really off, and tenses are a problem, and small words like some or any and which and what are really changed from me. I can't get them into my head. So yes, but the wonderful thing about being Jilly's beta is getting to the premiere of the stories before someone else reads them. So
it's a midnight showing.
Yes, and it's with MrBenzedrine's stories often the same. I have an idea where the story is going, and I always say no, you can't. When people are talking about your stories, and I know what's going to happen next, or what's the plot development in this and this aspect, I was don't spoil. No spoilers, please.
Let me tell you, I wouldn't be able to do anything without you, Volcra. Seriously, like a writer is only as good as their team, I think. And if you're alone, then you're just as good as you. And if you're really good, then that's awesome. And I'm not dissing on anybody who doesn't have a beta or an alpha, because sometimes it's just really hard to find that kind of person that you can put that kind of trust into. But I mean, I wouldn't be where I am without so many people. Miss Pancake, who was my first beta, she lives in Australia, and then Waymay, and you, LightofEvolution, and then London's legend, Amanda. I wouldn't be able to put out the stories that I do without these people who I am able to randomly message in the middle of the day or at 11 o'clock at night and be like, I think I have an idea, but I don't know if it's crap. Can you tell me if it's crap? And then I go in and they're like, no, it's not crap, or, oh, maybe not do that because that's bad. No. And then later, you go in and you're writing so fast that you don't see that you completely skipped over a word, or you used a phrase wrong, or I mean, there's just so many things that your eyes, like everybody said, your eyes don't catch, and or just bouncing ideas off of somebody is so magical, because you might have one idea, but somebody else might have another idea, and that just feeds off of each other. So I really do highly recommend getting a team.
Yes.
And a team that you trust.
Definitely.
Absolutely. And that's, I think I respect the decision not to do that, because it's everyone's freedom and it's your hobby. And if you don't want to work with a beta or an alpha, then that's fine. But I couldn't. I really couldn't. So, yes.
I wouldn't go back now.
You can't go back. and
no, you can't.
And one day you're going to continue First They Came for the Death Eaters.
I hope so. I haven't dropped it on purpose, but to see right there, that's why I write things fully now before, or at least mostly. I have to have most of the chapters written and at least the end. And then maybe, I think when I did like I Am Jack, I had like, I don't know, 12 or 13 consecutive chapters written, plus the ending. And then I started posting. And then as I was posting, I finished out like, 3 or 4 chapters in the middle, just as I was going. I can handle. But First They Came for the Death Eaters, I had no idea what I was doing when I started that story. I just thought, wouldn't it be neat if, like, there are dystopian versions of the idea that, magic is no longer a secret, like, Voldemort wins and he takes over the Muggle world and whatever. And I thought, wouldn't it be interesting if it was no longer secret, but he lost? And then, there's like questions of legalities with magic and, like what happens if Muggles and governments and all that got to take over potion regulation and whatnot. And I still love the world. I really love the idea of it. I just don't know what to do next, really. That's it. I think I bit off more than I could chew.
No. So every time I meet Flora, aka Finoa, she, I really meet her because we're living quite close together. So every time we meet, we say, "Oh yes, Jilly has to continue that story."
I really do intend to. I would never call it abandoned, because I'm still actively writing, and I just assume / hope that someday I'll be like, "Oh, I know what's next," and then I'll get back to it. I left it for a year. And then went back and posted another like 3 or 4 chapters. So I haven't given up the possibility that I will figure out what I'm going to do with it, and then make it great, I hope.
Yes, absolutely. I'm really, really looking forward to that moment.
Thank you. In the meantime, Drake is a portrait, and I'm just doing other things.
But what is your opinion if, or should someone decide to file share your works?
So my opinion is your opinion, because we've done this and I know what your opinion is. First being that I don't think anyone is trying to file share anything that I do. I mean, it's on Fantasy free. You don't need to like pass it around. But if someone wanted to share a file of mine, I am okay with that, because I did put them out there publicly for people to enjoy, and I'm not offended if somebody were to want to share them with somebody else or keep them, or I'd be honored, to tell you the truth. As long as the only thing that we've both said, I know, is that we would not want them to take credit. I know that the world is not mine, but I'd still like to have a little bit of pride in the word choices that I make and the plot lines and whatever. So I would not want someone to post it and say that it wasn't that I had done it, that somebody else did it. And having said that, I know that there are writers that don't want their files shared, and so the respectful rule follower that I am, I would never share someone else's files that didn't want it done. I really haven't had a need to do any file sharing in general, because there's just so much out there. I read, for instance, one of the most popular examples is Cruel and Beautiful World, which was a great story. And I read it twice. I read it once a long time ago and thought it was excellent. And then when she said she was going to be taking it down, which I really appreciated her giving the heads up. I mean, she just was lovely about the whole thing, I thought. I read it again just because I knew I probably wouldn't be able to. And for anybody who doesn't know, the reason why she took it down was because she published it as a original work, changing the characters to not be Potter characters anymore, but to be her own. And good for her. I think that's wonderful that she was able to do that. But I don't have a copy of the original, and if I did, I would keep it to myself. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
Yes, my opinion is the same, because, and it also goes for translations, by the way. So if someone translated my works, I'd love to be asked or informed or whatever. But in the end, it's the author's decision to allow file sharing or not, or to say no, I don't want that for whatever reasons. There are respected reasons not to file share or to pull your work entirely off the internet. So that's perfectly fine, and we have to respect that. Absolutely, yes.
Okay, we're the same person, you and me. So I guess I will ask next. Who's your no TP? Who's the pairing that you could live without?
Yes, despite knowing there are many talented authors or writers doing that ship, I think it's Tomion, because I don't like Tom Riddle as a character, really. I mean, he's the villain of the story, so okay. And I can't get into it. I tried. I read some, and the writing is excellent, and the characters and the language are excellent. And I say no, I can't get into it. So I simply leave the ship where it is and let it sail. And think, okay, I'm jumping on the Hermione ship again, or Harmony, or whatever. So really, that's the pairing I can't. I don't read. Not I can't. I don't read. So yes.
I like that. You're like, I'll just step back on my own ship. It's fine. You're like, that's a pretty ship. It's nice. It's not my type of ship. I mean, you guys, you like those color sails, and that's not my color scheme, but that's fine.
Yes.
So sweet. So
yes,
sweet.
because I think I know there's ship bashing, and I don't think it's okay, because whatever makes you happy, it's okay. So when you like this and this ship, okay, then read it. I don't have to like it, and but if I don't like it, I'm not going to say awful ship or whatever. So yeah, take that ship, and I'm sitting on my pretty purple Hermione and Draco ship. And sometimes invite Harry along, and then I'm fine, really. Yeah. Next question for Jilly. Yes. Have you ever been trolled?
Not really. And I think yesterday when I said that, I said knock on wood, and then I did it. Knock on wood. Here. There, that's glass, but does that work? I have not really been trolled. I have had a small amount of really nasty anonymous reviews. And the sort of second part of this question is, how do you react to being trolled? So for those few times that it's happened, my reaction has been that I have deleted those comments because they're anonymous. And if you have something you'd like to say to me that we can discuss, then you can log in and we can have a conversation about it. But if you're just going to say something nasty that doesn't actually speak to the content or the quality of what you read, then I don't have to respect you back by letting it post. So I don't.
But you've had some annoying reviews, haven't you?
Yes. My most annoying review, in hindsight, because at the time I was more upset than annoyed, I was panicked, I think would be the right word. I received a review from somebody who fancies themselves a bit of content police on fan fiction. There are groups who, form little coalitions together to seek out content that's against the supposed terms of service. Which, I mean, that brings up a whole other, we haven't even talked about this, but, what is, if you have an M rating, what is too far to be considered appropriate for that M rating? Where does the line cross from, what is erotica or a kind of respectable sex scene into what you would call like explicit smut? But anyway, that's a whole other conversation about censorship.
Yeah, and I think it's still important to remind people that they have no power.
Yeah, no, they have no power. They're just readers who take it upon themselves to be hall monitors, self-imposed.
Fan fiction and archive of our own, they do not care what you post. They might have cared 10 years ago, but they do not care what you post now. And if they have a problem, they will message you themselves. Like
right. Right. But it was very early on for me. I had only written like 3 stories at that point. And the piece in particular that this review was on was it was a one shot, and it was kind of smutty. And it was my first time really attempting something at that level. And so then when I get an email that has a review, and this is just general information for anybody who might be listening to this that ever leaves a review, you cannot imagine the excitement that just roils through my body at that point that I have a review on a story. I'm so excited and happy and honored and all that. And then I opened up that email, and it was, kind of a lengthy review. And I was like, oh, yay, lengthy review. Those are great. Those are the best. And it was that. And I was just, I don't know. I was heartbroken and mortified and completely terrified that they were going to take my story down and like ban me from fan fiction forever. And it was a terrible moment for me. And I edited the piece and stopped writing smut for, I don't know, the next couple years. And it messed me up. So in hindsight, as I said, and as you said, Amy, fan fiction doesn't care. There is so much adult content on that site that is far more explicit than that one little like lovey-dovey one shot that I put out there. Absolutely. And so I'm no longer terrified or mortified or heartbroken. I'm just annoyed that that person exists and thinks that they get to dictate what other people get to read.
Amen.
So that's the one right there.
But I think I know which one short you are talking about. You refer to, and I love it so.
Thank you.
I love. She's still thinking about it. She's like, yes, I know exactly the one you're talking about.
It was my alternative romantic climax for First They Came for the Death Eaters, which is called First They Came. And it was supposed to be First They Came for the Lemons, but then I started thinking that the word lemon is what flagged me for this little group, so I edited that out.
So
But
First
yeah,
They
that's
Came.
the one.
So is the came like a pun?
Well,
They Came.
it kind of is now, but at the time, I had First They Came for the Death Eaters, and then I wanted to put out First They Came for the Lemons. I thought that was cute. So then I took off lemons, and now it just says First They Came. And yeah, now it seems very punny.
I'm not gonna lie. The first time I saw that title in your thing, like when I was on your profile page, I was like, they came. They came. Like I'm a big pun person, so any puns that I can scoop up, even if people don't mean to make puns, I'm like, but that was a pun, right? You meant to make a pun, right?
Well, it wasn't at the time, but it is now. I mean, believe me, I definitely see it there. I'm aware of how it sounds.
But it's so good, really. I adore that one, really. So, but I really advise those people who haven't read that to read First They Came for the Death Eaters first. So it makes more sense, really. Yeah, excellent one shot.
Oh, thank you. And I don't think in all of our many conversations. Wait, did we lose Amy? Are you guys there?
Yes, I am here.
I think we lost Amy.
Yes. Oh no.
Her icon went away.
Yeah.
Oh, there she is.
There she is.
Hello, can everyone?
Hi.
Hi.
Did we lose you?
Just for a second. I'm back now. But it didn't stop the broadcast. It just fixed everything. So we're still
Okay,
good.
well, you have to edit that out then, me being like, hello.
Oh, I was also like, hello? Hello? Like, we got the end of saying that people should read First They Came for the Death Eaters.
Oh, okay. I was going to, and we've done this 3 times now, so just to change it up, I don't think this was a question that I have I asked that? You're just gonna have to edit this out because this is me being hungover and stupid.
That's fine.
Yeah, no, we do this. So now I'm gonna turn this back at you, Volgra, and ask if you have been trolled.
No, I haven't. And I'm not keen on being trolled, really, because it's rude and impolite and hurts feelings, and it's not something you do as a adult and as a person in general. So no, I haven't, but I received some nasty reviews who weren't confident or didn't like my smut writing, and that threw me off for a time in not writing smut, and I'm still not confident in it.
Your smut is great. You just don't need to listen to the stupid people because your smut is great.
Yes, you're a bit partial to me.
No, I have read my fair share of bad smut, and yours is not bad smut. I guarantee you.
Yes, I had a huge compliment from a reviewer on AO3. On the last thing I posted, it was Time to Feel Glorious.
Oh gosh, that I'm already like, oh, that one was so hot. that one was scorching.
Yeah, I really like it. So it was my big comeback to smut. I don't know.
Her big comeback, guys.
Okay, so I got
you said it. You put it out there.
Come on, let's all say penis aloud without laughing.
But don't use it in smut.
I think we lost Amy again.
Penis.
Nope.
Penis. Come on, guys, join in with me. Penis.
I can't say that without turning red, really. Okay, so can I share this really, really nice review with you, please? This was someone comparing my Draminary smut in this story to the Hedgehog Dilemma by Shayaloni. I think I hope I say this correctly. And that I felt so complimented and so good because someone said, "Hey, you're just writing that because you're impatient." And I thought, "Oh, what's that kind of review? Is it going to be me?" No, it was really meant as a compliment because they thought, yes, there's someone waiting for an update of the Hedgehog Dilemma and wrote something herself. And this reviewer really liked it, so that was a huge compliment for me. So yeah, but just to explain this whole penis dilemma, this is really a scene in Sex Ed by MrBenzedrine, and really one of my favorite stories ever. So it's so funny. If you haven't read it,
let me tell you, I hate that MrBenzedrine so much. She's such a C word. Oh my gosh, she's so horrible. I can't believe she writes. She writes like a 3-year-old. Obviously, people just follow her because they have nothing better to do. I'm looking at you, Anon. I'm looking at you, who leaves these random ones. No, but she's okay.
Who in the world did you cross?
I have no idea.
Oh my God. Somebody just has a lot of time to devote to not liking you. I've always found that very stunning. You've never been anything but incredibly pleasant to me.
I'd like to think I'm an okay person, but I don't know. Like at the same time, I wish I could tell this anonymous person, it's like, you don't have to downgrade me, man. I don't even like myself. It's cool. Like you and I were probably on the same boat. Like I don't have a big ego, so whatever you're thinking of is like, whatever you think is an ego is so not an ego.
And really,
I just don't get it. I am completely flabbergasted.
No, but
I mean, there is a Tumblr page and all kinds of nonsense.
Oh my goodness.
I was like, what did she do?
I don't want to get off topic because I hate interrupting people, but I will say this. I watch PewDiePie, which is the very big famous YouTuber. A lot of people are going to be like, oh, scandal, he's such a racist. He's actually not a racist. He used one word.
Don't even know him.
He used one word inappropriately, wasn't aimed at anyone. He just said it as he was getting frustrated playing an online video game. But point is, he made this video recently that really touched my heart. It was about how anonymous hate, and it was like, he was like, people aren't gonna like you, and that's fine. You don't have to. It's not a big deal. He's like, but you need to listen to the criticism, he said, because that helps you always make yourself better. And I'd like to think that I've tried that over the couple of years that I've been back into writing, is that I take the real criticism and I try to apply it to my writing. And then he's like, and throw out all the rest. He's like, because it really doesn't matter. It's not helping you in any shape, form, or fashion. I'm paraphrasing. He says it a lot more sarcastically and a lot funnier. But I think it's important to remember that if you're ever getting like flamed, or if people, it's really kind of a compliment in a way to have people hate you so much that they try to look for anything to get mad at you over, and they'll spread lies and like half truths that like they only heard like a part of a conversation. Like, oh my gosh. And I'm just like, no, that's not even what happened. It's It's just
Well, there's no
hilarious.
such thing as bad publicity anyway. So at the very least, you got a
The thing is,
lot
I
of
don't even want the
coverage for that.
publicity. That's the thing. I don't want to be like super known. I'm just kind of like sitting here over in my corner, just like, dude, just let me write and have some fun. I'm just here for my friends. Chill out. Like, I am not here to try to make a name for myself. I'm just here to like write some smut and some silly stories and have some fun. I admit it. The reason, like, come on. Drinking buddies. The first thing I put out under MrBenzedrine, that was just smut. That was just so much smut with like a little bit of plot, because eventually I was like, I could add some plot. Yeah, a little bit. But
I could put some trousers on and do something else.
But anyway, so it makes me feel really awkward when people bring up my name, and it's not like I'm like, oh, how dare you? I'm just like, I'm nobody. I'm a worm. Like, it reminds me of the Labyrinth. I always share this GIF that's like, oh, me? No, I'm just a worm. And I feel that's the way who I am. I'm just a worm. Just ignore me. So when you brought my name up just now, I was like, it's just fun.
But I love that story. I can't help it.
Okay, I'll let you finish your story because I love you and I respect you. And I will try not to edit it out of the thing.
Just a long story cut short. It's I love sex ed. Really, I really adore the story. So this was the penis metaphor we were talking about. And what Judy said is a funny thing. She said, yes, penis is a word you don't use in fan fiction. Why? I don't know.
It's too clinical.
Oh,
yes,
man.
but it's word, okay? It's the thing. So
I guess it's because it's such a clinical term. Like, you know, like it's not the street name. Like, nobody wants the clinical name for nobody wants the clinical name for Benadryl. Like, everybody just wants the you know, name brand name. So instead of penis, which is the clinical term, we want cock. That's the name brand. That's what we know. Oh man, I think one of my favorite things that people don't bring up is the word taint. I think that's hilarious. But sometimes when you see it, especially if you're reading like slash fiction, it'll sometimes come up and I giggle so hard. It's like he said taint. And I melt. So that's why I made in sex ed, I made that joke about why do they call it the taint? Because it oh gosh, I feel so terrible saying it. Because it what did it say? Because it taint the pussy and it taint the asshole, and that's why they call it the taint. And I was like, I felt so bad after writing it. I was just like, what am I 4? No 4-year-olds don't know that. Am I 13? Like, I felt like I was 13-year-old just getting into it.
I hope you didn't know that word with 4 years old.
I hope I didn't either. I was a pretentious little shit at 4. So I was using words that I thought I knew what I was using, but I didn't. So I'd be like, yes, that's very ambidextrous. And my mom would be like, what? Yes, I think the soup is very ambidextrous, Mom. You did a good job. And she'd just be like, oh, Amy, no. That's what I would do.
That's so cute.
It is. It totally is.
I think you could probably catch me doing that in my writing sometimes where I'm like, I used a word. And then like Amanda or Volker will go in and they're like, I don't think this word works here. And I'm like, well, if you look at it, if you squint your eyes right and you think about it in this way, it kind of works. Like I'm trying to save face. Like, no, it works.
Yeah, for me, it's only my process in this occasions is I open up Google and on my dictionary. I really have a dictionary with paper and all. And I look the word up, and then I say, okay, this makes sense or it doesn't. And if it doesn't make sense, then I say, what do you want to say here? Because the chances are I really don't know the word. So that's it.
I know there have been a couple of times where I have like tried to defend my case because in my head it worked, but like in reality, both you and Amanda are like, no, no, that doesn't work. And I'm like back to my 4-year-old self, like ambidextrous. Yeah.
Okay, next question. And I think it's there's another one. Okay, how do you imagine your Hermione? Is she like Emma Watson? Is she a person of color? What is your fan cast?
Emma is my fan cast, as I have said a couple of times now, because even though I did start reading the series before there were movies, the movies have been, kind of around for quite a while and during the publishing of the books. And so I just tend to visualize the person that was cast in that role for no particular reason other than just I think of her because that's who Hermione has been for a long time. When I bother to think of a face when reading, just to make that clear, because I don't always necessarily think of a face. And I know I mentioned, I don't think I said it the first time we did this, but yesterday I did. I do occasionally read stories where the author has definitely sort of head cast a person of color in that role. And so you get descriptives about, dark skin or whatever. And when that's the case, then I try to make an effort to visualize not Emma, just to be in that story. If that's what the author has designed for this character, then I'm trying to, follow along with that. And it's probably the most conscious effort I ever make of visualizing anything is when I'm trying to break out of what I know as, my own headcanon. But even when I do read those and I make my efforts, sometimes I can't help it. And she just slips back into being Emma. And then we've got her caramel skin and I'm like, oh, right. Well, let me just change my visualization for a second because I was totally reading a different story. So yeah, it's but by default, it's Emma. And
yes.
What about you, Volker?
Yes, it's also Emma, and I really like Emma Watson. She's gorgeous and intelligent, and a role model for many women and girls. And I really like her. And she's mostly Emma. Hermione's mostly Emma for me. But then I see these beautiful drawings, for example, by Up the Hill, and she draws them. She draws Hermione a bit different, sometimes like this, sometimes like that, and the ethnicity switches a bit or changes a bit. And then I say, yes, that's Hermione too. And then again, like Judy said, there is no face you really connect with Hermione when you're reading. Then it's all head or all hair and teeth. This bossy,
her defining features.
Yes, bossy voice, and then it works all the same. So we all are Hermione in some aspects, or I am Hermione in some aspect, not my better ones automatically, but definitely, yes. If I visualize Hermione Granger, then it's mostly Emma, but all the others fit too. So yes, every girl can be Hermione if she wants to. But
right, we're all Negan.
Yes,
we're all Hermione.
But funny thing about imagining characters. The first time I read the books, I started with the second because I had it from a library when I was on holiday. So I read the second book, and I skipped the character descriptions from the side characters. So I read these books, and then I read the first and the sixth and the last one, and then when I saw the first movie, I was really scandalized because Draco Malfoy was blonde, and in my head, I skipped this description while reading it, and while reading the books until the first movie came out, I thought he was dark-haired because obviously it's a dark character, so he has dark hair, and this brooding characterization, and he has to be a pale, dark-haired boy. And so I was devastated when I came to the cinema and Draco Malfoy was blonde. And then I came home and took the first book and really read it up, and I was, what? How could I miss that?
That's okay. I started with the fourth book, believe it or not, because I was in summer camp, like this church summer camp, and I got bit up and down all my legs with all my legs. That makes it sound like I have like 20 legs. With chiggers, which for those of you that don't have chiggers, they're the little tiny insects that burrow under your skin, and then they feed on you, and then they leave these giant bumps, and you scratch these bumps. And my legs got so bad that they were numb, and I couldn't walk.
Oh my God.
It was horrible. So I was in the infirmary, little cabin, and one of my friends from my bunk, actually I went to church with, she walked in and she had brought all of her Harry Potter books that have been produced so far. And she was like, I just finished this one, and I don't know why she decided to give me the fourth one instead of the first one. But she was like, here, something for you to read. And so
that's the best one.
Yeah. So I started reading it, and then I was like, this is really good. I was like, so when I got home after healing, I went to the bookstore immediately and got the first one. And so I had no idea what the characters looked like much at all. I knew Harry had glasses. I knew that.
Because that's on the cover.
Yeah. And that's about it. So no judge here. I think if I remember correctly, reading Draco, I think I remember him being a little bit like more dark complexioned. Like, it sounds so bad, but like that's kind of what I remember vaguely from being a child, and then going back and reading the first one and being like, oh well, that's so you confessing that is like a breath of fresh air to me, because I'm like, I'm not the only one who thought he looked different in the books. I imagine everybody else different because I didn't read the first one starting off. It's like my deepest, darkest secret, and I'm confessing it on a podcast.
Yes, but it was really frustrating sitting in the cinema. And, no, wait a moment. What? Who is this boy that isn't Draco Malfoy? No. Yes. But I think that beautifully leads us to our final question.
Mm-hmm.
And that's Ron Weasley. Love him or hate him?
I think I like him even more just from having talked about him with you guys over the last week. I like Ron. I don't ship him with Hermione because I just don't. I don't know. I don't like them together as much. But I do like writing him. I like using him in stories. I don't make him a villain. I usually I'm very EWE when I write. So epilogue. What epilogue for those who might not know that. So I always have Hermione having been in a relationship with Ron at some point. If I'm writing something that's post-war. and I usually have their breakup be not necessarily completely amicable. Usually some tension, but I don't like it if he's the bad guy and he did something terrible to her or whatever, because I like to be able to utilize him later in that friendship capacity that I do really enjoy between them. And I also think he's great as a comedic character. I think he's a lot of fun to write, and I know I've said this 1,000 times too, but because he is the polar opposite of the like Narcissa and Lucius and even Draco and Hermione and all the characters that I tend toward are all sort of highly intelligent and very well spoken and intellectuals and cultured and all that, and then you got Ron, and he's just a bull in a china shop in a scene. He just kind of runs in and wants to know what's happening and yells a lot, and I don't know. I think he's a lot of fun, and I like to kind of make him be just slightly awkward, like endearingly awkward. And I've even made him sort of like almost a hero. The first time that I used him, I let him be the one to sort of lead us to a climax that was very positive for Hermione and everybody. So, because I just think he tries. I think he's a loyal guy, and I think he's, his heart is often in the right place. He's also very temperamental and kind of petulant and selfish, but everybody has some kind of flaws, and that's what makes the character so much fun, is when they're not perfect.
Amen.
So I like Ron.
Yes.
Yeah. What do you think about Ron?
I think I kind of married Ron. No, just joking, because these character traits you described as being this funny and loving and caring, loyal, except one instance in the books and in the movies, character and generous, even if he doesn't have something to be generous with. For example, when he steps into or he shares with Harry, and even though he has not so much to share, but what he has, he shares with him, because he knows he is this kind of person who shares things that are important to him, and for him it's his family. He shares this huge family with an orphan, or essentially an orphan, and so yes, he's a good guy, and he's portrayed much more flawed in the book, in the movies, than he is in the books. And Hermione and Harry come off quite perfect, even though they aren't. So Harry is a bit of a little shit sometimes, and Hermione is this insufferable know-it-all, and she's quite annoying sometimes. And yes, and Ron is a bit comes off a bit worse than the other two. So we forget that sometimes and for example, in the first books, when when they are in this devil's snare trap, and Hermione essentially forgets that she's a witch, and she is the one who says, "Bloody hell! Did you forget you're a witch?" or something like that. So yes, he is much more of a hero than we often think. So yes, that's essentially my husband, because he is this caring and loving and loyal person, and funny and shares and generous, and that's him. And we work, so we kind of Ron and Hermione, but it's a process. So what J.K. Rowling forgot to give them is a character development. They have to compromise. They have to they have to learn from each other and take each other seriously, not as friends, but as partners, as lovers. And that's what she kind of skipped connect with the epilogue, and yes, that's kind of sad. So in the Harry Potter fandom, I really only see Hermione with either Draco or Harry. So I think because they work, but not with Ron in the way she portrayed them. Yeah, that's my opinion about Ron.
I love it.
Okay.
All right. So, ladies, I think
That's
that's all the questions.
It is.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us for the third time. Lovely podcast. I know that y'all have got things to do today. So we're gonna end this on a nice note. I'm gonna ask first off, Kyonomiko, do you have anything you'd like to say to your readers who are listening to the podcast?
I mean, thank you. I guess I'm so bad at this. You do this every time, and I'm always like, I don't know what to. I'm truly touched and excited that I have people that even read what I do. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoy writing. I always have. I've written since I was a child, basically, but I've never been in a position for anyone to actually read it. And I'm completely overwhelmed sometimes by the wonderful reviews that I've had, and the other writers that I've met. I have such a good time being a part of this fandom, and I just appreciate everybody for letting me do this and giving me this outlet and making it so rewarding. So thank you to all of you.
That's beautiful. I love it. All right, so we're going to go over to Light of Evolution. Do you have anything you'd like to say to your readers?
I think Kyonomiko also said it quite beautifully. I'm just so thankful to have someone reading my stuff, which surprises me a bit. But I'm really glad to be part of the fandom, and having met so many interesting people and talented writers and loving fans and readers, and yes, and they nobody tells me off because I'm a bit off in my language sometimes, so that's great. I know there's still some problems I have. I'm still learning, so I'm very thankful that this fandom is so open, despite me not being an English native and still trying to write in English. And yes, I'm very happy to be here.
Oh, that's so sweet. So I just also want to say thank you to everyone who's listening to this. We really appreciate the authors getting up for taking time away from their busy schedules to come in and talk to us. We've got some more awesome contenders coming up for Meet the Pennames Memory Lane May. You're going to see such people as RCCMG, Shaylani, Canimal. We've got a pretty good selection of people. There's plenty more. I'm just naming off people off the top of my head. But you're going to want to stick around. You're going to want to pay attention. Fun. It's a lot of fun getting to touch back with these authors and hear what's going on in their lives. And I think that's the most important thing, is just to always know that these authors take the busy time out of their schedule to give us beautiful stories. I think it's only important that we remember that. Please remember when you're leaving a review. I know that a lot of authors get a little bit peeved whenever all they do is get nagged. Just try to be as nice as you can. Remember, these authors have lives. They have lives. They have families. They have all kinds of things going on. So just kind of try to remember that when you're leaving a review. Leave a comment down below. If you have any other questions, you can look these girls up. I'll have links in the description. And yeah, I'd say you should read their stories, especially if you're a Dramione lover, or however you want to say it. I'm American, so that's how I say it. If you are a Draco and Hermione lover, you want to read these two, honestly. They're fantastic, and they come highly recommended. Not just from me, but from tons of other people. So, ladies, thank you very much for joining us today. And we will
Thanks, Amy.
see you around.
Thank you, Amy.
Yeah.
Thank you.